The doorbell camera at 723 Oakmont Drive activated at 6:41 p.m. on March 19, 2024. A young woman in a burgundy jacket stood on the porch, balancing a thermal delivery bag against her hip. She pressed the button, stepped back, and smiled toward the lens. The recording captured her, shifting her weight from one foot to the other while checking her phone. 30 seconds passed. She rang again. The door opened. What happened in the next 11 minutes would require detectives to piece together fragments from 3 different cameras, cell tower data, and the final digital breadcrumbs of a woman who never made it home. Melissa Chen was 28 years old, 3 months into a contract position at a marketing firm, and picking up delivery shifts 4 nights a week to cover student loans. She lived with 2 roommates in Portland, Oregon, kept a succulent garden on her windowsill, and called her mother every Sunday without fail. On March 19th, she accepted her last order at 6:37 p.m. The delivery app pinged her phone with the address on Oakmont Drive, a residential street in the Selwood neighborhood where modest bungalows sat beneath mature oak trees. The customer, identifying himself as Robert Kendall, had ordered from a Vietnamese restaurant downtown. Delivery instructions included a note, "Please ring doorbell twice and wait for signature." Melissa confirmed the order, drove the 4.2 miles from the restaurant, and arrived at the address 12 minutes later. Oakmont Drive runs east to west, lined with homes built in the 1950s. Number 723 sat mid-block on the north side, a single-story structure with white siding and a detached garage. The front porch extended 6 feet from the door, covered by a simple overhang. A Ring doorbell camera had been installed. Across the street, a neighbor's security system recorded vehicles passing on the roadway. 2 houses down, another camera faced the sidewalk. Melissa parked her silver Honda Civic at the curb at 6:40 p.m. She retrieved the thermal bag from her passenger seat, locked the vehicle, and walked up the concrete path to the porch. The doorbell footage shows her pressing the button at 6:41 and 12 seconds. She wore dark jeans, white sneakers, and the burgundy jacket required by the delivery platform. Her dark hair was pulled into a ponytail. She held her phone in her left hand. The door opened at 6:41 and 48 seconds. A man appeared in the doorway. He stood approximately 6 feet tall, wearing a gray hoodie and dark pants. His face was partially visible in the frame. He spoke to Melissa, though the doorbell camera recorded no audio. She gestured toward the thermal bag. He nodded and stepped back slightly, motioning with his right hand. Melissa hesitated. The footage captured her glancing down at her phone, then back toward the man. He appeared to say something else, gesturing again. She took 1 step forward, crossing the threshold. The man moved aside to let her pass. The door remained open for 4 seconds before swinging closed. The doorbell camera recorded nothing further until 7:14 p.m., when a Portland Police Bureau patrol unit arrived with lights activated. Melissa's roommate, Jordan Liu, sent the first text at 7:08 p.m. "Hey, are you almost home?" No response came. Jordan sent another message at 7:15. "Getting worried? Text me back." At 7:22, after calling twice and receiving no answer, Jordan contacted the delivery platform's emergency line. The support representative pulled up Melissa's active delivery, noted the address on Oakmont Drive, and transferred Jordan to Portland Police non-emergency dispatch. The patrol officer who responded to the welfare check arrived at 7:27 p.m. He approached the front door, knocked, and announced his presence. No one answered. He circled the property, checking windows and the rear entrance. All appeared secure. He returned to his vehicle and ran the address through the system. The property was registered to Robert James Kendall, age 34, no outstanding warrants. The officer left his card wedged in the doorframe and cleared the scene at 7:43 p.m. Jordan called the police again at 8:05 p.m. This time, the dispatcher noted the delivery driver had been inside the residence for over 90 minutes with no contact. A second unit was dispatched. Officers Noah Brennan and Elise Vasquez arrived at 8:18 p.m. They knocked repeatedly, identified themselves, and waited. Officer Brennan walked the perimeter again while Vasquez contacted the property manager for the neighborhood to inquire about emergency access. At 8:31 p.m., Brennan noticed the detached garage door was partially raised, approximately 8 inches from the ground. He crouched down and shone his flashlight beneath the door. The beam illuminated a concrete floor, cardboard moving boxes stacked against one wall, and the rear bumper of a dark-colored sedan. He called out again. Silence. Brennan radioed for a supervisor. Sergeant Linda Orozco arrived at 8:47 p.m. and authorized a welfare check entry through the garage. Brennan lifted the door manually. The garage interior was cluttered but empty of people. A door on the interior wall connected to the kitchen. They entered the house at 8:52 p.m. The kitchen was clean, no signs of disturbance. A hallway extended toward the front of the house, passing a bathroom and 2 bedrooms. The first bedroom contained a neatly made bed, a dresser, and stacks of books. The second bedroom was empty except for a folding chair and a laptop on the floor, power cord trailing toward an outlet. They reached the living room at the front of the house. The space was sparsely furnished. A couch, a coffee table, a television on a stand. Melissa's thermal delivery bag sat on the coffee table, still sealed. Her phone rested beside it, screen dark. Officer Vasquez picked it up carefully, using a pen through the case. The screen lit when she pressed the power button, showing the lock screen with 14 missed calls and 23 text messages. No other personal items were visible. The front door was locked from the inside. No signs of forced entry existed anywhere in the residence. Robert Kendall was not present, and his vehicle was not in the garage. Portland Police Bureau's Major Crimes Unit was notified at 9:08 p.m. Detective Marcus Reynolds arrived 32 minutes later with a forensic team. The scene was photographed, measured, and documented. Melissa's phone and delivery bag were collected as evidence. Detectives canvassed the neighborhood, knocking on doors and requesting doorbell camera footage. The neighbor at 719 Oakmont, directly across the street, provided access to their security system. The camera faced the roadway and had captured Melissa's silver Civic arriving at 6:40 p.m. It also recorded a dark blue Toyota Camry leaving the driveway of 723 Oakmont at 6:52 p.m. The timeline narrowed. Melissa entered the house at 6:41 p.m. The vehicle departed 11 minutes later. Detectives obtained the license plate number from the security footage. Oregon registration PDQ 7394. The vehicle was registered to Robert James Kendall at the Oakmont Drive address. An alert was issued for the vehicle and its registered owner. Detective Reynolds reviewed the doorbell camera footage frame by frame. The video quality was high definition, but the man's face was only partially visible, obscured by the angle and the hoodie. Forensic analysts enhanced the images, isolating the visible features. The man appeared to be white, clean-shaven with short brown hair. His build matched Kendall's DMV records, 6 feet 1 inch, 180 pounds. Investigators requested Kendall's employment records, financial statements, and phone records pending a warrant. Melissa's phone revealed critical information once unlocked with assistance from the delivery platform. Her last GPS location pinged at 6:41 p.m. at the Oakmont Drive address. The delivery app showed she had marked the order as delivered at 6:42 p.m., less than 1 minute after entering the residence. Text messages indicated she had been planning to complete 3 more deliveries that evening before heading home. Her bank records showed regular deposits from the delivery platform, rent payments, and student loan transfers. Nothing suggested financial distress or unusual activity. The delivery platform provided additional data. Robert Kendall had created his account 8 days earlier on March 11th, using a valid credit card and email address. He had placed 4 orders through the app, all delivered to the Oakmont Drive location. Previous drivers reported no issues. The account used a phone number with a Portland area code. Detectives obtained subscriber information for the number, which led to a prepaid cellular account purchased at a pharmacy on March 10th. No identification had been required for the purchase. Detective Reynolds contacted the property management company overseeing the Oakmont Drive rental. Robert Kendall had signed a 6-month lease on February 1st, providing first and last month's rent plus a security deposit. His application included employment verification from a logistics company in Beaverton and previous rental references. The property manager had never met Kendall in person. All communication occurred via email and text. The logistics company confirmed Kendall had worked in their warehouse for 11 months, but had been terminated on March 1st for attendance violations. Search warrant applications were drafted and approved by a judge at 11:37 p.m. Detectives returned to 723 Oakmont Drive at midnight with authorization to conduct a comprehensive search. The forensic team spent 6 hours processing the scene. Luminol testing in the living room revealed faint traces of blood on the hardwood floor near the couch, appearing as a spray pattern approximately 18 inches in diameter. Swabs were collected for DNA analysis. Additional blood traces were found on the interior door handle leading to the garage. No weapons were discovered inside the residence. The laptop in the second bedroom was seized and sent to the digital forensics unit. Investigators photographed every surface, collected fingerprints from doorknobs and light switches, and documented the minimal personal belongings present. The residence appeared to have been occupied only recently, with few signs of permanent habitation. No photographs hung on walls. No food stocked the refrigerator beyond basic staples. The bathroom contained generic toiletries. Robert Kendall's vehicle was located at 4:37 a.m. on March 20th in the parking lot of a 24-hour fitness center in Gresham, approximately 12 miles east of the Oakmont Drive address. Patrol units secured the perimeter while detectives responded. The dark blue Toyota Camry was locked and unoccupied. A search warrant was obtained, and the vehicle was impounded and transported to the police forensic garage. Inside the Camry, investigators found a black duffel bag in the trunk containing men's clothing, a laptop charger, protein bars, and 3 prepaid cell phones still in packaging. The vehicle's interior was largely clean, but luminol testing revealed blood traces on the front passenger seat and floor mat. The steering wheel and door handles were wiped down, yielding no usable fingerprints. Forensic examination of the trunk lining found several strands of dark hair caught in the carpeting. The hair samples were submitted for DNA comparison. At 6:02 a.m., a hiker called 911 to report discovering what appeared to be a body off Forest Park Trail, a wooded area in northwest Portland, approximately 9 miles from the Oakmont Drive address. Portland Police and Multnomah County Sheriff's deputies responded. The location was a steep embankment roughly 40 feet below the trail, partially concealed by undergrowth and fallen branches. The victim was identified through visible clothing and physical description as Melissa Chen. The medical examiner arrived at 7:15 a.m. Preliminary examination indicated the victim had suffered blunt force trauma to the head and a stab wound to the upper torso. The body was transported to the medical examiner's office for autopsy. Detective Reynolds and his team processed the discovery site, photographing tire impressions on a nearby service road and collecting trace evidence from surrounding vegetation. The location suggested the body had been transported by vehicle and carried or dragged to the embankment. Autopsy results were completed on March 21st. Melissa Chen died from a stab wound to the chest that penetrated her left lung and heart. The medical examiner determined the wound was consistent with a knife blade approximately 4 inches in length. Toxicology screening found no drugs or alcohol in her system. Time of death was estimated between 6:45 p.m. and 7:15 p.m. On March 19th, aligning with the timeline established by camera footage and her last known GPS location. DNA recovered from the blood traces inside the Oakmont Drive residence matched Melissa Chen. The hair samples found in Kendall's vehicle also matched her DNA profile. Blood traces in the vehicle were confirmed as hers through additional testing. Detectives issued an arrest warrant for Robert James Kendall for murder in the first degree and abuse of a corpse. A regional alert was broadcast, and his information was entered into national databases. The investigation revealed additional troubling information. The logistics company where Kendall had worked reported he had been disciplined multiple times for inappropriate behavior toward female coworkers, including unwanted comments and following employees to their vehicles. His termination on March 1st followed a formal complaint filed by a warehouse supervisor. Kendall's rental application had included fabricated references. None of the previous landlords listed could be contacted at the phone numbers provided. Financial records obtained through the warrant showed Kendall had withdrawn $8,000 in cash from his bank account on March 8th, 10 days before Melissa's murder. Surveillance footage from the bank showed him making the withdrawal in person. Credit card statements revealed purchases of cleaning supplies, garbage bags, and a folding camping shovel from a hardware store on March 18th, 1 day before the murder. His cell phone records indicated his device was powered off from 6:30 p.m. on March 19th until 5:41 a.m. on March 20th. Detectives interviewed previous delivery drivers who had brought orders to the Oakmont Drive address. All 4 drivers were women between the ages of 24 and 32. Each described Kendall as polite, but noted he always requested signatures despite the app not requiring them for contactless delivery. One driver mentioned he had asked her to step inside briefly to set the food on a table because he claimed his hands were occupied. She declined and placed the order on the porch instead. On March 24th, 5 days after Melissa's murder, U.S. Marshals located Robert Kendall at a budget motel in Eugene, Oregon, roughly 100 miles south of Portland. He was arrested without incident at 10:42 a.m. while sitting in his vehicle in the motel parking lot. Officers found a $9,000 cashier's check made out to a car dealership in California, a road atlas with routes highlighted toward the Mexican border, and a driver's license with Kendall's photo but a different name. Kendall was extradited to Portland and booked into Multnomah County Detention Center. His arraignment occurred on March 27th. He entered a plea of not guilty through his appointed public defender. Prosecutors filed notice of aggravating circumstances, including the especially heinous nature of the crime and evidence of planning. The defense argued the case was circumstantial, noting no murder weapon had been recovered and no witnesses placed Kendall at the Forest Park location. Trial began on September 9, 2024. The prosecution presented 53 pieces of evidence over 12 days, including doorbell camera footage, DNA analysis, cell tower data, and testimony from forensic pathologists and digital analysts. The jury heard from Melissa's roommate, who described her responsible nature and consistent communication habits. The defense attempted to challenge the timeline, suggesting an unknown third party could have entered the residence after Melissa arrived. Forensic testimony proved decisive. An analyst explained how the blood spray pattern inside the residence indicated an attack occurred in the living room, matching the location where Melissa's phone was found. DNA evidence conclusively linked Kendall's vehicle to the victim. Cell tower records placed his phone traveling between Portland and the Forest Park area during the estimated time of body disposal, despite the device being powered off. Credit card purchases and the attempted flight to Mexico suggested consciousness of guilt. On September 27th, after deliberating for 19 hours, the jury returned a verdict of guilty on all counts: murder in the first degree, abuse of a corpse, and tampering with evidence. Sentencing occurred on November 4th. The judge imposed life in prison without possibility of parole, citing the calculated nature of the crime and the defendant's attempts to conceal evidence. Melissa's mother read a victim impact statement describing her daughter's kindness, work ethic, and unfulfilled dreams of opening a small marketing agency. The scholarship established in Melissa's name at Portland State University supports students pursuing degrees in business and communications. Her roommates continue to maintain the succulent garden she started. The delivery platform implemented additional safety protocols, including mandatory check-in systems and real-time location sharing features for drivers. Every March 19th, volunteers place flowers at the Forest Park memorial marker where Melissa was found.